we haven't started recording yet then.
No, now we have.
Now we have, okay.
Welcome back to another Bad Movie Friday. I'm Ty. At 1004 names on Twitter.
What's your name today, Ty?
Tyrell Red Sparrow.
There we go. Yeah, I'm Color Greg. You can find me at Color Greg 17 on Twitter.
We just got out of the rhythm section.
Boy, this sure was a nothing movie.
Yeah.
Although, it's also a record breaker. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not.
Yep. This is the worst premiere of, gross of any movie of all time. It premiered in over 3,000 theaters, and it made a combined $2.5 million.
I feel like that's not true.
It's true. It's the worst premiere of all time. It broke records. I think the previous one was that Zac Efron, We Are All Your Friends, or whatever it was.
Yeah, but I guess for wide releases.
Well, yeah, for wide, it was over 3,000 theaters, which is considered wide release. Like, there are movies that have made less money in the opening weekend, but they premiered in 4 theaters.
I know that. I think Shia LaBeouf had a movie a few years back that made $63. But it was only I think 300 theaters.
Right, that was probably intentional or something. But yeah, this movie was quite bad. I felt like there was a nugget of a good movie in there somewhere, and there were a couple good scenes. There was a fight scene in the kitchen between Jude Law and what's her face. That's
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively. That's like a good long take, and I appreciate movies that can bad directors when there's an action scene and they need to cover up the fact that they can't shoot an action scene. It's like cut.
Michael Bay syndrome.
But this was it was a long take where the camera stayed relatively stationary. It followed the action a little bit. But it just felt like a visceral fight scene. You felt like these people were really hurting each other to an extent.
She was really trying to fight back, and he's just kind of playing around.
Right. But it felt like two people having a fight in a kitchen with a knife. It felt very real. So there are nuggets of good shit here. There's a very long take of a car. It's obviously edited with computers or whatever, but it's meant to feel like a long take. It's literally too long, but it is an interesting car chase.
Yeah. There was one of the best stuff is with Blake Lively and Jude Law.
For sure.
Because
why don't we talk about what this movie is? All right. They don't know who Jude Law is or Blake Lively or any of this shit.
Blake Lively is a crack whore.
Correct.
Who is this way apparently because her parents died, and her parent and family died in a plane crash 3 years ago.
That she was supposed to be on. I think that's the inciting factor in her spiral downwards. She was supposed to die with her family.
But she canceled the plans because she just didn't feel like it.
Yeah. Which makes me feel bad because I cancel plans with my family all the time because I just don't feel like it.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the hit there. It's
right.
Cherish what you have before you realize it's gone. Or
not going to do that. I'm kidding. I love my family. Yeah, so she was supposed to die and instead became a crack whore.
Yeah, so she meets a journalist comes up to her and he's like, it was actually a bomb, it wasn't just a plane crash. And come hang out with me if you want to figure out who did it and how we get back at him. And then she does that, but she sucks. So she steals all this evidence, goes to get a gun, tries to find the guy who did it, doesn't kill him. He steals that evidence, kills the journalist.
Yeah.
And then she meets the journalist's source, who is an ex-MI6 guy named B. And he reluctantly trains her, but it's real. And I summed it up in seconds.
That's about 45 minutes of the movie.
It takes forever for anything to get rolling in this.
That's definitely the biggest problem with this movie is its pace. It is one of the slowest movies I've ever seen. And in no way is that a good thing. Certain movies, Blade Runner 2049 is 3.5 hours long. And it is slow. But in my opinion, that movie's nearly perfect. I love the pace of that movie because the pace serves a purpose. There is this sense of dread and compression to Blade Runner.
And there's reveals that you need time. Things need to breathe. You need to you're coming to terms with things the same way as you are with Ryan Gosling.
Right. Yeah.
It's right.
It's
wow. we're having this adventure together. And this, you're like tapping your watch, like let's go.
Like the first, and I'm literally not kidding. The first probably 5 minutes of this movie is like incredibly slow pan into Blake Lively's face as she remembers making dinner with her family, but like it just like cuts back and forth. It's like her face, memory, and it's supposed to make you endear yourself to her family and understand like that she had this great life and it was ripped away from her. And I get what the purpose is, but it is so unbelievably slow. And
all these things that we're
so
seeing,
awful.
They're all shot on her like iPhone or whatever that she constantly looks at for the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then we keep on cutting back to those shots throughout the movie. I leaned over to Greg. I was like, "Do you think they know that we know?
Yeah,
we know this. We know what's going on here. She's sad."
The movie gives the audience no credit at all. Like, I don't know. You could have gotten this feeling in 40 seconds. Like, every now and then when she sees, like, a kid, on the street or something, you could have had a quick flashback to her and her brother, and, like, that would have had the exact thing. We don't need literally 5 minutes slow zoom of her face. It's unbelievably paced.
It hammers it over hammers your head.
So, every single scene in this movie was about 4 seconds too long. Like, it just lingered 4 seconds too long. And if there's 500 scenes in the movie, that's like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like it adds up quickly, and it is exhausting. This movie is already relatively short. It was an hour and 49 minutes for a spy thriller.
Yeah.
You could have used that time so much more efficiently, because as the movie picks up pace, they start explaining things less and less, in my opinion, so that, like, basically she just goes around doing whatever the men in her life tell her to do. They're like, all right, cool, this is your next target. And she's like, why? And they're like, it's a really bad dude. And then it's like, cool. And then she goes and can't kill him.
I think it's a lot more convenient than that. Because it's like, she trains with Jude Law. She becomes like a quasi-spy.
Yeah.
She's real bad at it.
He tells her she's going to be shit at it. Which, to his credit, he was right.
But every single time, like, she's like, oh, you're going to need to go meet this information broker. And, he'll set you up and we'll figure out who blew up your parents. And she's like, great. So she flies over, meets with I don't remember what the
Sterling K. Brown is the actor whom I really like. Actually, I kind of liked him in this. He was in the People vs. O.J. Simpson. He was fucking phenomenal in that.
He's good. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
I like him. Everything I see him in, I tend to like him in.
But he's like, all right, I need you to kill this guy. And she's like, should I do it? And he's like, oh yeah, guess what? That guy was the guy who was supposed to be the one who got the bomb on the plane. Yeah. So you guys should totally kill him.
Except they're all the guy who got the bomb on the plane. Everyone's like, oh yeah, this guy. He was the one who got the bomb on the plane.
I was like, this is too convenient for some reason.
Right.
So I'm waiting for them to be like the big twist that's like, Jude Law was really the UC-17.
Spoilers. We're gonna say spoilers right here. So the whole time they're chasing after this guy U-17, who is like somebody, but we don't know who. It's which of course in movie speak means it's going to be a big reveal at the end. Like
pick one of the 4 characters we know.
Right, and that is like an inherent problem in this movie. There's literally like 4 characters. Like, this is a very small scale movie, especially for like a world hopping espionage thriller.
The credits were listed like 20 people tops.
Yes, literally, right. So it was like one of these 4 people has to be the fucking mega bad guy. It has to be the people who financed the whole operation. It has to be Jude Law. It has to be Sterling K. Brown, or a surprise person at the end, but then it wouldn't have any emotional weight.
Unless it was like the Prime Minister or something.
Right. That was like the only way they could have gotten out of that little loop, is if like it was all a government cover-up. Like the United States government really wanted the bomb to go off or something.
Or like
which is what I thought was actually going to happen.
I was thinking like it's the woman whose name you took. Like, she was the one who actually started this whole thing, and now that you've become her.
Whoa, right. Oh yeah, that would have been a good little thing.
I mean, sorry about that. I already killed her like 2 years ago. Oops.
Oopsie. Yeah. So the whole plot is borderline nonsensical. And there's a lot of scenes that I feel like are missing. Like, I want scenes where they explain who these people are and how they're going to approach getting them and, like, what they did and all that stuff. And instead, like, every phone conversation, it's all phones. Like, hey, should I go kill this guy? Yeah, he's a bad dude.
He's in Marrakesh. Go get him.
Yeah.
Next scene, opening the door into Marrakesh.
Right. She's just there. Like, she just appears where she needs to be. Like, I like prep scenes. Like, as stupid as this sounds, that last Rambo movie, like, it did a tremendous job of, like, showing you where everything was and what you were about to see, so that when the invaders came in through the tunnels, you knew, like, oh, we better watch out for that, he's gonna fall down, and then he does, and it gives us, like, anticipation, and it helps you, like that Home Alone thing, where it helps you understand space and stuff. I like scenes like that, where I wanted them to be like, okay, you're gonna infiltrate through the roof, you're gonna do this and this, and they have one like that, but it's still, she immediately doesn't do it. Whatever.
I mean, even like Death Wish, where you see Bruce Willis, he's constantly, like, getting guns, cleaning them, figuring out how the guns work.
Right.
This just has her doing a really bad Keanu Reeves training for John Wick sequence, where she's just outside going, pew, 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 dodge, go behind cover, pew, 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 holding the gun like a complete amateur.
Yeah, not a good gun holder.
And then, yeah, it's just, and I the tone in this movie is so, like, it's borderline dead. It jumps between, oh, I'm a crack whore and my family's sad, to her and Jude Law being like, oh, we're gonna have a sexy kind of will they won't they fight. It's like, what?
Yes, it's peculiar, to say the least.
It's just weird.
So, the guy who directed this, I already forgot, Reed Morano, something like that. Reed, I don't know. So, he's actually a quite well acclaimed cinematographer, which to me explains this movie a lot, because it is very well shot. Like, the scenes are visually compelling, and there's a lot of scenes where it's like, this is a beautiful vista.
Oh, so many vistas.
So many vistas. And that explains to me why the movie feels so poorly paced, because this man is incapable of putting together a whole movie. Like, every shot of Blake Lively is lovely. Every shot of the nature is lovely. The scenes are compelling. There's, like, characters come in and out of focus in a compelling way. Like, it is shot very well. But the pacing is so poor that, like, it doesn't matter how well shot this movie is, it's a waste. He also directed a lot of television, specifically The Handmaid's Tale. Which, I mean, did you see that at all?
No.
First season's great. But that is a very solemn show. And the tone of this movie is very similar, in my opinion, to the tone of The Handmaid's Tale. But it makes sense for The Handmaid's Tale, because everyone's fucking depressed and lonely, and, like, it's in a dystopian future. Like, this could have felt more alive. Like, I get it, she's dead inside, but, like, there's no fun in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I constantly say during these things, just joyless.
Right. And I get it, and if that's what you're going for, but at the same time, like, just because your characters aren't having any fun doesn't mean the audience can't have any fun.
Like, the first person she's tasked to kill with is this old dying dude. And, we've gone through this whole thing where she's like, oh, I don't care about my life, I'm ready to throw everything away and just do this. And this old decrepit dude beats the shit out of her. And she's, like, whimpering and crying. It's like, no, you do that, the thing where the mom has the baby trapped in the car and, like, flips the car over.
Right.
Like, be a badass. Get in there. And they're just supposed to show the reality of the situation. It's like, oh, you could die at any minute doing this. and then she does what's akin to, this is a deep cut for younger people, changing the PlayStation 2 clock a week ahead or a month ahead, so that the end just dies without you having to fight him. They're fighting, his little beep beep goes off where he needs his oxygen, and she's like, no, you're not getting your oxygen. And he's like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
Then he just dies. That's the end of it.
And then she gets snake poison.
Oh yeah, super funny. So in the end, Sterling K. Brown is the bad guy. But again, they do, like, in my opinion, virtually no setup for that. Like, I don't know what his motivations were at all. He was just a gun for hire?
No, because he set everything up. So I think the idea was, like he said, you start doing this because you have to do it, and then you just become the guy who did it. But now, as his job as an information broker, if he's constantly brokering information about this, he's basically making more work for himself. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh boy, that is
That's a real dumb
lamest motivation of all time.
I'm just picking that out of thin air. I could be completely misreading the situation.
That's like the spy equivalent of clerical work.
Yeah. It's like making your own video games to sell them back to GameStop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one.
But I could be wrong. I could just be misreading it. Maybe. Yeah, I didn't really get motivation out of it either.
Right. And they were just sort of. She was like, "I knew it was you the whole time." And it's like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Then why did you have sex with him?"
Yeah,
man. Was she using her feminine wiles? I thought Red Sparrow was a bad movie. Red Sparrow was a better movie than this. This is an abysmal movie. This is like one of the worst. This is one of the most unfun movie experiences I think I've ever had.
I don't know. The second time she goes to kill someone, and he's like, "Go in there, pretend to be a prostitute, spray him with this inhaler that'll knock him out, and then cut his neck from ear to ear. Just do it quick. Don't stop. There's gonna be a lot of pressure. Just do it." And then she goes in there and she's, "I don't need this inhaler. I'm just gonna kill him old-fashioned way." And she starts. She's like, "Oh no, I can't do it!" And then runs away. And then when he gets into the car explodes with him and his children in it. It's like, you did that.
It was very funny.
Oh.
I mean, I laughed a lot in the theater. I don't think the other moviegoers were very pleased with that. It was
I don't think they were awake.
Yeah, right. It was just super funny that Jude Law just inherently knew she was gonna fuck up. So she's like, it's like, "I knew you couldn't do this. Don't worry about it. I got a bomb in there too."
You were plan A.
He's donezo.
Yeah.
I would have preferred you kill him, but you know.
Oh, it's just bad.
I feel like there was a different script in here somewhere. So more backstory with this movie. They started the movie. Blake Lively got hurt, so they had to postpone almost an entire year.
Oh wow!
Before they could finish it, and Sterling K. Brown came onto the movie during that year off. So what I suspect is that they changed the script. I feel like there was another character in there or another actor who made more sense. And then they were like, "We don't have an end of a movie anymore. We lost our actor. This guy's in here now. Let's write him in as the villain." That's because it makes so little sense.
Unless the ending was supposed to be, Jude Law.
I think it had to have been Jude Law.
But I
think they were setting it up long enough that Jude Law had some motivation to do it.
Oh man, when he calls and he's like, "Hey, I know the main Aslan there. He's been hunting for a while. I know where he is. You got to go kill him." "How do you know this?" "Don't ask. It's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine here." It's like, come on. What is this?
Right. To me, it seemed Jude Law kept being like, "Yeah, go kill that person," and then they mentioned that U-17 has been offing all the people that he had dealings with. It makes total sense that Jude Law is setting himself up as the villain for some reason. And then they just nix it for some reason. So I suspect there's a different script in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is based on a book. I'm going to go home and see who the villain was in the book.
I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to hit the Wikipedia page.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Well, anyway, I got nothing left to say about this. Don't see this movie.
Yeah, don't see this one. It's bad. I can't find a reason to watch it again.
Right. There's literally no reason to watch this movie. If it's on HBO, don't watch it. None of it.
No.
Just do not watch it. It's rated R. It's like the lightest R of all time. Like there's a very little bit of violence. They say the F word a couple times. Like this is like Air Force One level rated R.
I feel like it's the opposite of when they chop a movie down from R to PG-13. It's like, no, we got to throw some fucks in there. If it's rated R, we can say, well, people don't go to rated R movies anymore. So
yeah, bad movie. Don't see it.
Hard pass.
Yep. All right. I'm Killer Greg. You can find me at Killer Greg 17 on Twitter.
At the Man of 1004 Movies. Tyrell Red Sparrow. Find me at 1004 Names. I'm not sure if we're gonna do something next week. Greg's out of town.
We definitely aren't doing it next week, but I do want to see Birds of Prey. So I think that has to be bad, right?
Fingers crossed. Birds of Prey is gonna be our next movie.
Yeah.
And until next time, keep watching Birds of Prey.